Well, Marcia, it's a blessing, it's a privilege, and it's an honor to be here. And I'm here today with a very heavy heart because of the death of Alvin Toppin. I was in the hospital last evening. I may have been the last visitor to see him because I left there about 6:15 in the evening. And
Mm-hmm.
I sat there for 45 minutes while he was laying there. And, um, you know, apparently earlier in the day he was speaking and so on. But when I went to see him, that wasn't the case. And that's the first time I'd seen him. And his eyes opened from time to time. And he caught my eyes twice and he recognized me there. He couldn't talk at that point. And he gently raised his right hand off the bed in a fist. And I and
Mm.
I I gave him a fist bump. It happened twice in 45 minutes, and I was just sitting there because as my brother there, and I just had to be present for as long as I could. And ultimately, I went back to the studio, and I said before I left, I said, "Look, all of us at Starcom love you, Alvin, and we're praying, hoping that we can walk together through your recovery." And I left at that point, and it was the longest walk I've ever had to Starcom Network. I had to be back on the air for Mason and Guest and produce, but my heart was heavy as I walked. And I believe God is able to do anything He desires to do. But um, to hear this morning, having seen him the night before, uh, that was devastating. It was a very hard day for all of us who knew Alvin, and it's going to be hard for a long time to come. And I can't take up the program with all the things that we've done together. Him and Rupert were very close because Alvin and Rupert toured the world together,
That's
pushing Barbados.
your brother Rupert.
That's right, pushing soca music.
Rupee. Let's say
Rupert, yeah.
Rupee. Yeah.
And they were classmates at Harrison College as well. And it's a big loss. It's a big loss for the media family, and it's a big personal loss for me. We did many things. Maybe another time when you do a tribute to media, we can talk about that.
Yes.
But that I'm here, and I'm sure that Alvin would want me to be here today and continue because he was a big supporter of Pickety Crop, calypso music, and social commentary. So I'm sure that I'm here with his blessing. Had well, at this point in time, rough,
Yes.
rough,
Yes.
rough, rough, rough.
And when I tonight, you said something that while he was there on the bed, after 6 yesterday evening, Mr. Toppin, he lifted a fist, he raised a fist to you.
Yeah,
Just
because his left side, he couldn't move his left side. So I just sat there looking at him, hoping that I would catch his gaze. And there were gazes where he was distant, but he caught my eyes twice in that period, and he raised his hand each time, just slightly off the bed, the right hand, put it
to
in a
give,
fist, and I
and
just
he
knocked
gave
him.
you a fist bump. He was giving you a fist bump.
And I reflected on it today. It was very touching because it was after 6 o'clock when I left. I know visiting hours close around 8 o'clock. I don't know if someone came after or if they didn't, but in that particular state condition, it was very touching, and I'm glad that I got the opportunity to see him. But it does break a piece of my heart that he did die after that. It's
Yeah.
it's it's just hard to take. I mean, we lost John Doe, we lost Dennis Johnson in 2021, and this one hurts. It really
This
does.
one, yes, 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 and that yes, we definitely. He was a guest here on this show. We gave some. That's why we were late with your segment because we did take some time to honor him. And one of the things we said, the announcer, because you're here as the announcer. That's your name here on this show tonight.
I am here as a Calypsonian, the
As a
announcer.
as a Calypsonian, the announcer.
That's
And
right.
I want to say that the announcer, you have one of the things we've been doing on the show tonight is giving people their flowers. Because a lot of us, we saw how hard Mr. Toppin worked for the people in St. Lucie concerning the brown water. That's how I knew him. Because this is a show, an advocacy show. We agitate on here, and he was on the show agitating on behalf of the people of St. Lucie. And we now recognize, we're now saying it. A lot of us thought it and we didn't actually say it. But tonight, I want to give you your flowers on the announcer. That's what I want to do, because one of the things I want people to know, this man that you see on the screen here, you see all of this music that he puts out. But I want to tell you what I know of him off of the stage is that this is somebody who is, he's the real deal. What you see is what you get of the announcer. All right. I want to say that I've known him since I came to Barbados. And this is the same man. He sticks with you, very committed to a cause, and he's somebody who is not afraid to speak truth to power. And well, I reminded you all earlier of the book that I've written called When We Lose Our Fear, They Lose Their Power. And I've seen this man over the past, I would say, 25 years. Ronnie, the announcer, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 21 years? 21 years. Through Calypso, the announcer, through Calypso, presented us with songs like TC, Unwelcome. Unwelcome was when he was in the experience tent and he was talking about how unwelcome Christians felt in the festival. And I tell you, he was hard hitting from the time he came out. Even in the experience tent, some of the tent managers were worried about some of his lyrics. This man he just says it. He just says it. Pastor Offering, he was fighting against the prosperity gospel, where people were taking pastors were collecting too much money from the flock and tricking people. He gave us Pastor Offering. Pastors were mad. I remember a pastor called me crying about the song, how Ronnie singing about the announcer. Oh boy, the announcer singing about him. I really cannot call it. I must call him the announcer on the show. The announcer singing about him. Pastors were mad with this man, completely beyond comprehension. The bell, wrong decision, biggest loser, silent cry. Everybody loves Chris. Calypso bully. Botsy theology. Who remember Botsy theology? Oh my God, that created so much problems in Barbados. Botsy theology. He was singing. He was singing about the LGBTQ plus community, and he called it Botsy theology. Even the people in the tent thought that they don't want to hear that song. This man was. Then he had Rabba Baba Shaba. Then he had Vote, Reading for Pleasure. Oh Lord! Now that one was so cleverly written. I'm sure he'd give us a story about that one. Then there was Free at Last. Then he wrote the one about PMs. We played it on here. And now we have National Carol Festival. He was in Experience Tent from 2004, 2005. And then he went to the All-Stars from 2016 to 2019. And then from 2023 till now, he's in the Carter's Shining Stars. And they are first to judge. And I think the judging date is next, is a Sunday or Saturday. He's going to tell you. But I wanted to spend the time to read all of that, because some people are seeing this song and they might think it is the first. But I wanted to really play a little of this day. Play a little of this. Can't play it. But listen, folks, this is the announcer. So officially, we're welcoming you again, sir. We started out talking about Mr. Toppin, but let's start to talk about your career, your calling as a Calypsonian, because I believe it's a calling. Do you see it as a calling, the announcer?
Well, I certainly do, and I did when I entered with the Experience Tent in 2004. But my entertainment background goes back to the 70s, dancing in youth clubs around the age of 6 with my big brother Joe, who really put me and Rupert on stage and before crowds. And my first
So
life.
hold a minute before you're taught. So I've always thought it was just yourself and Rupert and
No,
Rupie. Rupi,
No, no.
Tempted to Touch. Everybody know Tempted to Touch? That is Ronnie's brother. So
Yeah.
you are saying that you have there's three of you, three brothers?
Big brother Joe Louis Heimbeck, got my mum's maiden name. Joe Louis Clark for many years. I didn't even know that me and Joe didn't have the same father until he was 12. And
Ah,
Joe put me and Rupert on stage. He decided which music we were allowed to listen to. He was in an Elvis Presley phase, and then he went to a Michael Jackson phase. So we were all into Michael Jackson. We weren't allowed to listen to the Bee Gees or ABBA because they weren't funky enough. And then rock and roll was okay. And I first took the mic up in 1981. I sang a song called "You Drive Me Crazy" by Shakin' Stevens. And then we were into a rap and breakdance phase in
what
the
age were you? You said
I was 10.
1981.
I was 10 years old. 10 years
10
old.
years old when you
10
did
years
you
old.
sang your first full song on stage.
That's right. 10 years old. And then breakdancing around 1983. We started rapping in 1983. Our first live gig was December 31st, 1983, at a place called the Flexi in
Hmm.
Recklinghausen in Germany. And we were guest appearing with a band called the Fruity Chips. Joe was 16. I was 12. And Rupert was 8. And we were at an old year's night party. And let me tell you, this club was a real club in terms of, people were doing drugs. Um, people were they had fireworks like firecrackers inside the studio. I remember we inside the venue. I remember we were backstage, and the guys were saying, "Kids, don't do drugs," but they were smoking hash while we were backstage. And when we were on stage, people were throwing firecrackers at midnight. So we had a pretty interesting introduction. But then we did places like Middlesbrough, Stockton, in Germany when we went to visit our mum. And then I came to Barbados with Rupert in 1985, and we were
So,
the first
so,
act.
so all of this was in Europe. So where were you actually born?
I was born in Germany. I was born in Osnabrück. Rupert was born in Munster. Joe was born in Munster. We have a big sister as well, Mona Candil. She lives in Dusseldorf now. And I have a brother that I've never met yet, but he lives in
Oh,
England. And
wow.
he should be approximately 43 years of age right now. So I'm praying that we can meet while we
At some
still
point.
have the
So you
chance to
came
meet.
to you. So I'm hoping it's always good to have those kind of reunions and meeting a relative for the first time. But you came to Barbados at what age?
On Saturday, February the 23rd, approximately 4 o'clock in the afternoon, on a British Airways flight. It was one day after my 14th birthday,
Uh-huh.
and uh, Rupert and I didn't go to school until September, so we had 7 months summer vacation. In that time, I hooked up with all of my cousins and friends that came over to Barbados because our fathers were in the British Army. And at that time, the Barbados Defense Force was recruiting many of the Barbadians who had done their 18 or 22 years in the British Army to come back. So that would have been Mr. Hines, Mr. Coward, Mr. Dottin, my godfather, Major Louis Bell, and a host of others. We all came back. Some of us lived in the same places in Germany and England. So remember, Gabby sang a song called Boots in 1983 when he was singing
Mm-hmm.
about the Defense Force. So Brigadier Rudyard Lewis was in charge of the Defense Force at that time. So Rupert and I spent a lot of time at St. Anne's Fort, being quiet in the corner of a room or playing drafts and checkers and chess in the sergeant's mess. But ultimately, in July of that year, July 19th, it was a Friday, the first ever national youth concert by the National Cultural Foundation. They had a rapping competition, and me and Andy entered as the Electro Funk Masters.
You
Admiral
and
was the
Andy. Who is Andy? What do you
Andy
Andy?
Hines. Andy Hines, my cousin and closest friend.
Uh-huh.
And we've been close since 1982, when he first moved into where I lived, and he was roller skating, him and his brother Dave. And I was a big footballer. I was the captain of the school team and played for the youth teams in that area. And I went to him. I said, "Hey, my name's Nobby. I'm the captain of the football team." And he looked at me like, "Who is this idiot? I don't care. I don't know him." But then I found out that his parents came from Barbados. I said, "You got to be kidding!" Well, my dad's from Barbados, and then we were back and forth between the houses, and we established that bond, and we shared a great aunt as well. So we touched the stage, and there was no competition after. The Admiral, the DJ, Anthony Aloha, the DJ, and that's how our career started in Barbados. And we just rapped everywhere, every venue you could think of, for many years. And then I did a solo track on TV about drugs, drugging is bugging to LL
Yes,
Cool J.
I
When
think
he
I've
was a big.
seen that. And were you in? Did you rap in a like almost in this metallic or silver
Well,
outfit?
that drugging is bugging was 1987. That metallic outfit was uh, Get Up, Get Busy with John King from the album Jegna. It was filmed at the Crane. And when Nina Clark was in charge of that production from Remac, and I think she was managing John at the time. So I kept asking, "Well, where's my outfit?" I said, "Well, we haven't gone for it yet." I said, "What do you mean we
How,
haven't
how,
gone for it yet?"
how old you were at that time?
Oh, that was 1996. I was 25.